Can y'all see that? Let me know if you can see that. I got a whole webinar going on my Instagram live. So optimizing your product pages for sales, where decisions and money are made. So like I just said, your product pages are where people are making decisions. That's where they see your product photos. That's where they get a better understanding of what it is that you're selling. It's where they get to see your pricing, your product descriptions there. Hopefully you have like related products at the bottom of the page. Maybe you have reviews and things of that nature on that page. So your product pages really are super important when it comes to building your website overall. So we're gonna move through this fast because y'all know Instagram like to kick me off because I be on here extra long. So I gotta make sure I go through the slides in order because they didn't upload in order on my phone. So okay, so like I said, someone may never see your homepage, so it's important to make sure your product pages look just as good as your homepage. So a lot of people, when they're building their websites, they put a huge focus on the homepage because they assume that's where people are going to land first, or that's the site that they're going to, or the page that they're going to land on when they type your website address in. However, a lot of people don't realize that people land on product pages a lot more often than they do on your home page because search engine optimization, typically people are online searching for specific products. So when a search engine gives them results, they're not showing you your overall, showing the person your overall website. They're going to take them directly to the page that sells the product that they're looking for. So it's important that we put just as much effort into what our product pages look like as we do into our home pages. So this is super tiny. Oh, I'm zooming in on my face. This is super tiny, and I don't think there's a way for me to zoom in. So I'm gonna just read it from my computer. So this is this is a screenshot of one of the products on my page. So nothing really fancy about this page, and I'll dig more deeply into like essential things that your product pages should have. But obviously there should be like clear photos, different variations of your photos. Your buttons need to be clear. Your pricing needs to be clear. Your branding should be clear. There should be a very clear product description. And then I'm sure you can't see it, but at the bottom there's a spot for additional information if you have some additional information that you want to include. And then there is a spot for reviews so people can leave reviews on the merchandise if they purchased it. So yeah, so now we're going to talk about 4 things that make a great product page. Let's see if I'm going to select. Okay, there we go. So 4 things that make a great product page are the product itself, and that's more so the photography, branding. So remembering to incorporate your brand and your branding into your product pages, your copywriting. So this is your product description, and then your overall design. So what the page itself looks like overall is super important. So let's talk about one thing that's like super duper important. Hopefully I picked the right slide because okay, great product photos. So first and foremost, y'all know I talk about product photos all the time, and I also talk about the importance of using your own product photos. We'll talk about that a little bit more deeply momentarily. So before people get to read the product description, they often view the photo first. If the photo itself isn't appealing and convincing, you'll have a hard time selling the merchandise. Invest some time and or money into making sure your product photos are great. So obviously there are a lot of people who choose to use stock photography or the photography from the vendor, which if that is what you want to do, that is completely your right to do it. Well, sometimes it's your right. Sometimes you need permission to do that. So keep that in mind. However, there is so much benefit in utilizing your own photos, which we're going to talk about in the next slide. Or not the next slide, but 2 slides down. But you definitely want to invest some time and or money into making sure your product photos are appealing, because let's say the person lands on your overall dresses page. So on your page that's showing, multiple products, the photo alone has to be appealing enough for the person to even want to click on it to learn more about the product. So if that very first photo that they see is not appealing, if it's not clear, bright, edited well, they're not even going to want to click on the product itself. They may not even want to continue to browse on your website because they are completely turned off by the product photo itself. So you definitely want to make sure that your product photos are as great of quality as they possibly can. If you have to, invest some money into getting photos taken for you. I've made videos about how to take your own photos. I have an entire course about creating content, and it shows you how I take my own photos, how I record my own videos and edit them and everything. But definitely want to take some time and or invest some money into making sure your product photos are great, because the photo itself sometimes the photo itself can be what sells the merchandise. So you definitely want to give that some thought. So in continuing that, some of the things that make make good product photography is having clear photos, great lighting, edited, multiple angles, special details, and the location or setting. So like I said, you want to make sure your photos are clear. The lighting is good. So someone messaged me earlier or yesterday and asked me what lighting I use to take my photos. I don't use any lighting. I stand in front of the windows that I'm literally sitting in front of right now. I mean, it's dark outside. However, I take my photo backdrop is actually right here in front of me. You guys can't see it obviously, but I face these windows. I take my photos in around like noon. I make sure that I take my photos at a time when the shadows are not present or not as harsh and will be easy to edit out. It's super easy to take your own photos. It's just a matter of like practicing, playing around with it. And as you guys know, I use my phone to take my pictures. I use my phone to edit my pictures. I've used my phone since day one. I don't know when I will give up my phone or give up using my phone. I don't know if I will ever. So yeah, make sure your photos are clear. Make sure you have great lighting. Editing, like I said, I use my phone to do that. Multiple angles. So you want to make sure you give people multiple angles of your merchandise. So sometimes it's not obvious. Some details aren't obvious from just one picture. You're taking a picture facing forward. What if there's details in the back that they need to see? Or maybe they want to see, you know, how short it is on you from the back. I don't know. Make sure you're doing like close-ups if there's some type of like variation of material, or just there's something that they can't see from far back that you might want to zoom in on. Try to give as many angles as you possibly can to show them things that aren't necessarily like clear to see from one photo. And then location and setting. So most of my pictures I take in front of a blank backdrop. However, if you're more into like lifestyle photography, obviously you can go out and take your photos in various places. So I want to say whenever Magic was, so in August when I was in Magic, I used my hotel suite as my location and the setting for my photography. So I booked a room that was very beautiful and I utilized it to my advantage and took some amazing photos for my boutique. So if you don't want to do just the basic backdrop situation, choose a very random location that fits the look and feel of what you're wearing. So I mean, like if it's a dress that you go out in, have somebody snap your picture while you're out and about wearing the dress. If it's something that you would wear to brunch, have somebody take a picture of you while you're at brunch wearing the outfit. So think about those types of things as you're wearing your merchandise and as you're thinking about photographing it. So last but not least, use your own photos. So I got a little slide about that. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so use your own photos. So think about how nice it would be to have your very distinctive product photos floating around online, and it be obvious that the photo belongs to you rather than using a stock photo or someone else's photo and someone possibly immediately associating the photo with another person's brand. So I'm sure almost all of you follow K & Co on Instagram. If you don't, check her out. However, even if you don't, you probably have seen her pictures floating around all these like random wholesale websites like Lovely Wholesale and like all those Chinese wholesale websites. They utilize this girl's picture all the time. And so every time I see her picture, like first of all, I automatically know it's her, obviously. secondly, I automatically just kind of get deterred from purchasing the merchandise because I can't ensure that the quality of what they're selling to me is going to be the same quality as what's on her body. And some people get deceived into believing that maybe she purchased the merchandise from them. That is 100% not the case. I guarantee y'all that is not the case. She's not buying this merchandise from Lovely Wholesale or I don't know any of them other ones, but I see her pictures all the time. So just think about if your picture or anybody else's picture that you decided to use. Let's say you decide to use their photos and someone sees their photos circulating on your website, your social media, and things like that. Just like I immediately know that this picture belongs to K&Co, and I kind of get deterred from buying. It's the same thing with other boutiques using another boutique's photos or just a random stock image. A person might see the photo and they automatically associate that product and that photo with the other brand. They don't associate it with your brand. So I want to encourage you guys to utilize your own photos if it's possible for you to do so. And also, like, just think about how valuable it can be to incorporate your own style and influence into your brand instead of utilizing someone else's photos and how they styled it and things like that. So I got an example here. So this is a set that I purchased from, this set is from Latisse. So this is the photo that Latisse had on their website, and then obviously that's me down there in the corner. Oh, I look like a whole different person. That's funny. Anyway, so I took this photo at home right here in front of this backdrop that y'all can't see right now, facing these windows on my phone. I edited it, but like, look at me in this set, and then look at her. Like, obviously she's tall, she's wearing heels. I don't have on any shoes in this photo, but even if I did have on heels, like the pants would have still been longer. She's showing more of her torso. She's got more boobs than me, and it's just a totally different look. Like, I'm not curvy by any means, but I'm short, I'm petite, and I got like curves for a tiny person. It's a totally different look. The body types and all that, it's just different. So I want to encourage you guys to utilize your own photos. Like, I'm sure you've seen like those random pictures where you're looking for a picture looking for an item from a vendor, and you find out what vendor it's from. Or like, you see a style that another boutique sells, you're looking for it from a vendor, and you find it, but you're not sure if it's the same item because you've seen it on that boutique owner's body, and you're like, okay, this can't be the same item, because you're looking at the way that person styled it, you're looking at that person's body type and all that. So like, it's the same thing with your product photos. Like, people see that picture, the corner one with Latisse's photo, and then they see me and they're like, dang, that's the same outfit. Like, that's crazy. So long story short, I want to encourage you guys to use your own photos. So I got other examples. So like, the top one is from House of Chic. Her name's Tawana. She's super sweet. And then the bottom one's me. So it's the same set. However, her picture is prior to, y'all are so funny. Model looks like she flooded. That's what I said too. So the picture in the corners from House of Chic, and then the bottom was me. So the one from House of Chic, when she got it, it was before they changed the fabric. So they changed the fabric and they made it like a brighter pink. So when a person possibly bought mine, and let's say that I used her photo, like, they might not have known that it was as bright of a pink, or that the fabric was different, or, sometimes you can't tell that from the picture. But anyway, you get my point. And then this is another picture. So we're wearing the same set. However, she has, I meant to use a different picture. But anyway, they have these zipper details on the side of the pants and the sleeve. And so you could show different ways to style it. However, the top was slightly cropped, and you might not have known that from just looking at the picture. And again, like, I'm short, I have a short torso. So anyway, I wanted to show a different way to style it than the traditional way that everybody else styled it. So anyway, long story short, I encourage you guys to use your own photos, exude your own style in your photos as often as you can, and things like that. Do you have tips on posing for photos? I am not a model by any means. However, I would recommend looking for posing. I forget what it's called. It's like a posing guide, I think it's called, on Pinterest. They have like a whole bunch of guides, and it literally like outlines how different ways to pose for photos. So check that out. Okay, nope, that's not the one I want. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one I want either. This is the one I want. Okay, so a call to action. So obviously your goal is to get people to buy your merchandise. So you want to make sure that your call to action buttons clearly stand out. It should be immediately visible and not pushed to the bottom of the page underneath the product description. So a call to action button can include the add to cart button, a buy now button, pay with Apple Pay, all of that. So on my website, so, and another thing, you don't want your button to be pushed down underneath the product description. So essentially you don't want them to have to scroll to get to the buy button. You want the buy button to be as high up at the top as it possibly can be. And then you want to make sure that your buttons stand out as well. So like, don't make them blend in with the rest of everything else on this page. Like if you can make the button like have some type of effect where it was jumping, like seriously, do it. You want this button to stand out because your goal is to get people to buy. Some people don't want to have to use or read the product description. They don't want to have to scroll to the bottom of a page, especially if you got a long product description. I mean, I've seen that. You want them to be able to buy it as immediately as possible. So make sure that your call to action buttons stand out. Okay, and then pricing. So you want to make sure that your pricing matches the description. So if you sell at a high price, your product description should back up that pricing. You should be a bit more convincing. Do all you can to communicate the quality of the merchandise. Also, if it's on sale, make sure it's clear that it's on sale. So I've seen people who are running a sale, I want to say, I forget how it was listed. But basically, I found out later that like everything on this person's website was 50% off, but there was no indication of it on like the home page, or like there was no type of any type of graphic attached to the photo that indicated that this merchandise was on sale. It was just not clear at all. So you want to make sure that if your products are on sale, that's very clear. And if you're trying to sell at like a luxury price, then your product descriptions should exude something of luxury to me. So like it should tell me something about the quality of this merchandise and why I should be willing to pay the amount of money that you're selling it to me for. So how many times can I wear it? What type of fabric is it made of? What type of care instructions do you have? Where can I wear this? Things like that. You want to think about like what makes it so special that it's worth the amount of money that you're selling it for. A lot of people associate price with quality and price with value. So you want to make sure that you are telling them why this merchandise is of value to them. And then so next we're going to talk about detail. So did you offer enough detail to sell the product? When writing product descriptions, it's important to think about any potential questions that your customers may have about the item. Anything that can easily be seen, anything that can't be easily seen or perceived from the picture should be stated. So for instance, on the next photo, this is a picture from my website, and on this set you can't tell, but on the very back down the leg and on the front down the leg there is like this piping. It's like an extra piece of fabric on top of the pants. You can't see that from the picture, so I made sure that I mentioned that in the product description. You may not be able to tell that the top is slightly cropped, especially depending on like what the length of your torso is. So I made sure that I mentioned that in the product description. So you want to make sure that you are giving light to any details that aren't obviously seen or can't be obviously seen from looking at the picture. If there is something about the fabric that you think that person should know, you want to definitely mention that. Obviously, some people can't tell. I mean, you can probably tell this item stretches, but some items you can't tell if it stretches, if it has good stretch, medium stretch, bad stretch. You want to make sure that you're letting people know those types of things in your product description if they can't tell from looking at the photo. So I would recommend, just as you're writing your product descriptions, take a moment to think about what potential questions might that person be thinking about as they're trying to make a decision about whether or not to purchase the merchandise. What might deter them from not purchasing? Like, what do they need to know? Okay, so branding. Branding goes beyond just your logo and your graphics. Your brand should be exuded across your product pages. How can you weave your brand's DNA into your product pages? Remember that people may never see your homepage, so put your brand in the best light. So can you share this to IGTV so I can catch the replay? It's not gonna let me upload the whole thing to IGTV because it only lets us upload 15 minutes. So I'm gonna save it to my stories and it'll be up for 24 hours. I'll probably save it and maybe upload it to my YouTube channel too. Okay, so when it comes to branding, a lot of people obviously just think about their logo, their tagline, things like that. However, like I said, some people never make it to your homepage. They literally land on a product page first. So you wanna make sure that if they decide that whatever product page they land on that's just what they're looking for and they don't want to look at anything else on your page, you want to make sure that your brand's DNA is interweaved. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, you want to make sure that your brand is like weaved into these product pages. So when it comes to branding, you want to think about like your brand tone, your brand voice, your brand messaging, how you communicate, your brand colors, things like that. So for instance, on my homepage, the top bar is yellow, but then everything else kind of is pink. So I made sure that obviously my product pages have as much pink as possible. Or not a lot, but as much pink as possible. And then in the way that I write my product descriptions, I try to make sure that it is consistent overall with just like how I communicate in general, how I communicate across my social media, how I communicate in my emails, and things like that. You want to make sure that your messaging and your tone are consistent. So I have an example, and you're not going to be able to see the words, so I'll read it out loud to you. So this is a brand called Dressed in Lala. You guys have probably heard me talk about it a million times. If you haven't, go check out Dressed in Lala. Check out their Instagram, and then check out their website so you can see like how consistent her branding and her brand messaging are. Like, it's so consistent, it's crazy. So this is a screenshot from her website for a jumpsuit that she sells. And so the description says, a rainbow jumpsuit. Have you seen a more Lala piece of clothing like ever? We are obsessed, girl gang. The best-selling Dream Big jumpsuit is here in pastels. It has a flowy plus flattering fit. Each stripe is made out of a different piece of fabric. It truly is a work of art. Incredible quality, lined inside. It's even better in real life. Can you believe it? We all need this one. And then she has like bullet points. It says gorgeous pastel rainbow palette, color block design, incredible quality, wide plus flowy leg, adjustable straps, perfect length for any height. Wear it by itself or layer it. Then she includes some sizing information, and then she includes information about herself because she's the model. And she tells you like how tall she is, what size she's wearing. And then she tells you the quality of, or what material it's made of. So like a lot of people go material first. They may not have any description at all. And they tell you some information about the model. That is not gonna sell y'all merchandise. Like, you better tell me something about this merchandise that makes me wanna put this on my body tomorrow. So on the next page, I have that very same jumpsuit, but on her Instagram. So this is how she explains the jumpsuit on her Instagram versus how she explains it on her website. A jumpsuit out of our wildest dreams. Pastel stripes, adjustable straps, lined, and a magical wide leg. Last restock ever. Don't miss it, girl gang. It doesn't get dreamier than this. So like her not tagline, but like she calls her customers girl gang. So she said that in her product description, and she also mentioned it in her caption on Instagram. She gave you the same details in her Instagram caption that she did on her website. She talks about like dreams and because it's called the Wildest Dreams, I think it's called. What is it called? It's called the Dream Big Jumpsuit in Pastels. And so in the caption, she says a jumpsuit out of your wildest dreams. So she doesn't say like this jumpsuit is called the Dream Big Jumpsuit, but she then in her caption she says a jumpsuit out of your wildest dreams. Like, that is so consistent, and people don't think like that as they are writing product descriptions. They don't think about how their messaging can impact a customer. Like, everything about her brand is so like girl power. It's crazy. I literally have only purchased one thing from her, and I purchased it like last month. I've been following her for so long, and I literally just follow because I enjoy everything about her brand. So you never know like how your branding overall can be impacting an audience. So think about that as you're writing your product descriptions, writing your captions, just your brand overall. Like, what type of messaging is your brand going to exude over time, and how are you going to remain consistent in doing that? Okay, so social proof. So a good old-fashioned review can win over a customer any day. So make sure your product pages are set up to accept reviews from customers, and be sure to reach out to customers for reviews after shopping with you. So my customers don't leave reviews. I have a few like reviews left on my Facebook page. But like anytime someone tags me on Instagram, or they post a photo on their stories and they tag me and say something great about the product, I make sure that I screenshot it and save it. So I have like highlights on my Instagram that kind of basically serve as reviews. But you want to make sure you have a space on your website for reviews, because this is called social proof. So it means that people are proving that what you're selling is going to be what you're saying that you're selling. So even if people aren't leaving reviews right now, you definitely want to make sure that you have a space for them to leave reviews, and you definitely want to make sure that you're asking people to leave reviews. Even if that review is them posting on social media, or posting in their stories, or on your Facebook, wherever. So social proof continues. So another form of social proof, this is another example of social proof. So this dress is a dress that I've sold on 3 different occasions. So this is the 3rd time that I had this dress, and I've had it in 3 different color palettes. So my social proof in this way is showing them that this dress is such a bestseller that I've been able to get it in 3 different colors and sell out of it consistently. And I made sure that I mentioned that in the product description. So somewhere in the product description, I believe I mentioned that, so I said we brought one of our favorites back for the 3rd time. So I mentioned like this is a dress that we love, that we have had some really great results with, that we've had on 3 different times. And then I mentioned that it's sure to sell out quick. Even if it's not going to sell out quick, you want to basically create what's called like fear of missing out, or scarcity. And basically you want to like convince people that, dang, this item is so hot, or so on point, so trendy, whatever, that I need to get it right now. So here are the pictures of the dress. So these are the first 2 that I had, and then the one I just showed you guys is the 3rd time that I had that dress. So these pictures can be found on my Instagram. I'm pretty sure I have them posted on my website somewhere, so that they can see that I've had it on multiple occasions. So this is also another way to show social proof. And you could obviously like include these in your along with your product photos. So obviously you wouldn't want it to be like at the top photos, but like your last 2 photos could be these, showing that these are products that you've had on other occasions and that sold really well for you. So last but not least, don't forget about your website overall. So like, now that I've told you need to put more focus on your product pages, don't feel like you need to completely not focus on your homepage, because there are still going to be a lot of people who land on your homepage So give your homepage attention as often as possible. Make sure that it looks as best as it can at all times. Update it regularly. So change your headers and change your featured products. Change your messaging if you're changing with the seasons. Make sure that you are keeping that homepage updated as well. And remember that your website is essentially your business's home online. So if your website is not clean, is not organized, why would you ever want to invite anybody over? Like, think of it like your own home. Like, you don't want to invite anybody over to your house if your house isn't clean and organized and in order. So think about your website in the same way. You want to make sure that it's clean, it's organized, that things make sense, that things aren't just laying around all over the place. You want to make sure that it makes sense for people. So those are all my slides. I don't know how long I've been on here, but this was like the most impromptu, quick webinar ever. So I guess I'll go back and read through your questions. Let me see how I exit out of this picture. Let's see. Okay. So what is your backdrop made of, paper or muslin? My backdrop is paper. So I'm just gonna flip this camera around so you can see it. Ooh, maybe. So there's my backdrop up there, and it's on this backdrop stand. So it's paper, and I got it from Amazon. Yes, thank you. It's a seamless paper backdrop. Y'all be doing. I appreciate y'all for answering my questions. Yes, ma'am. Amazon. So for posing, check out Pinterest. I want to say it's called Posing Guides. Super helpful. When I first launched my boutique, obviously, like I said, I'm not a model by any means. I wasn't a professional. I'm not a professional at all at taking photos. However, I'm like very patient and willing to learn. So when I first launched my boutique, I literally used Pinterest for ideas for my photo shoots. So I had a whole Pinterest board, of photos that I was going to use for inspiration for my first photo shoot. So almost all of the pictures that I saved on this Pinterest board were photos of people sitting on like bar stools and stuff like that. So if anybody remembers when I first launched my boutique, and they were all like in black and white and very moody and stuff like that. So when I first launched my boutique, a lot of my pictures I took sitting on stools, and a lot of my promotional materials were in black and white, and they were very like moody looking. So yes, y'all are so funny. It looks better on you. Thanks. And what's funny is, so I had that set last year, and obviously I had photos of it that I could have reused. However, I retook the photos because my body is different now, and my hair is different, and I could do my makeup a little bit better. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take some new photos. And I like my new photos a lot. And my ability to take my pictures is a lot better as well. So, yeah. So I retook those photos. So don't ever be afraid to retake your photos either. Like, if you think that your photos aren't as great of quality as they could be, retake those photos. I'm late. I missed everything. Just saw the email from you. I was busy working on email marketing campaigns. Good for you. It's post tomorrow and rest of the week. I'm going to have to rewatch. Yes, ma'am. You always give best advice. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Would you attend to a pop-up where they're asking for 50% of your profit? Oh, no, I would never attend a pop-up where they're asking for 50% of my profit. Why? What's your reasoning? I would want to know what their reasoning was for asking for my 50% of my profits. Yeah, no, I would never. Can't wait to speak to you tomorrow. Oh, awesome. I can't wait to speak to you too. I have like 6 calls tomorrow, 6 coaching calls. So I'll be on the phone like all day tomorrow. If anybody's interested in a 1 hour coaching session, my coaching sessions are on sale until Saturday, November 2nd at 50% off. And you can click the link in my bio to take advantage of that promotion. I have calls booked every day this week, which is crazy. I opened up some spaces and I'm like, ooh, I want to close them because I'm gonna be on the phone all day. But yeah, if anybody's interested, let me know. Click the link in my bio. And if anybody needs a website built, that's 50% off. If anybody needs to enroll in a course, those are 50% off as well. Everything's 50% off basically this week. So if you've been wanting to work with me or get enrolled in a course or anything of that nature, now's the time to do it. Took some pictures and I love them, but when I got ready to edit them, seemed so blurry. I'm using InShot. Oh, are you using InShot to edit them? Or are you using InShot for videos? We're going to have a lot of my target potential customers. Yeah, but it doesn't sound very profitable to you at all. I mean, I guess you gain the potential customers, but money-wise, you'd lose. That pop-up would never see me. That's robbery. That's a shame. Most I've seen someone charge was $60. Yeah, the most I've ever the most I've ever paid to participate in a pop-up was $75. And it was a pop-up. So I'm actually